Good evening and welcome to a special Father's Day version of Dad Bod's Crab Cakes and Sports. We are Hisky. Wow. We are husky middle-aged men and we're talking Baltimore sports from the bank to the yard and beyond. We're discussing the Orioles, the Ravens, Terps, and more. So let's get this show on the road there, Michael. How has your Father's Day? Well, actually, first, guys, John, Mike, happy Father's Day to you guys. I hope you had a great day thus far.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day to you also, gentlemen, and to your dads, who I both know personally and love. So, Mr. Terry and Mr. Joel, happy birthday, guys.
The same to
Happy Father's Day, you mean? You said happy birthday.
Yay,
That's what I meant.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy Father's Day to you guys, too.
It's Lucy's birthday tomorrow, so say happy birthday to Lucy.
Oh,
She'll
my
be
goodness.
10. She'll be 10 tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Lucy.
Yep.
Wow.
Happy Father's Day, Lucy.
I'd like to say that I remember my 10th birthday, but that would be a tragic lie. I really don't. Although, I do remember my 10th birthday. I just got diagnosed. Terrible. This is a terrible birthday. I just got diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 10. Very memorable birthday, let me tell you. I didn't know the impact or any of the important stuff then, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. I was just like, okay. They're like, you can't have Jolly Ranchers anymore. I was like, all right. I guess that's
I mean, 10-year-old me could have been devastated by that. So,
I think I was actually. I think I'm just downplaying it. Oh,
Absolutely.
my goodness. So, what'd you guys do today, John? John, what'd you do so far today? What did the kid? You said I thought I heard a rumor that you had to go to the store today. So, well, what did you do?
Yeah, well, yesterday I had to work all day, and my wife took the kids to the store looking for some shoes for me, but then we didn't find any, and that they didn't find any. But evidently, my kids come home with 2 pairs of shoes, or one. They each come home with 1 pair of shoes. So I don't know how that works when they go looking for shoes for me, and then the kids all of a sudden are grown out of their shoes. But it happens. It always seems to happen, and shoes aren't cheap anymore. Back in our day, we paid what, $20 for a pair of shoes, maybe 30. Now they're like 80. And they got to get those Jordans, the Air Force Ones and all these things.
Oh my gosh. Look, I mean, before we get to Mike and how his day's been going, I will tell you though, we were kind of talking about this before, but the worst thing is buying anywhere from like I don't know, a few months old all the way up to like a 12-year-old shoes, because you know damn well that they're going to need a whole new size 6 months to a year from then. And it's like, oh, what do we do? Like, I mean, I want to buy her, like, because with Allie, she's like, she plays a sport every season. So she's going to keep growing. So I'm like, oh, $70 for volleyball shoes. Hey, that's only going to last her for a couple months through the summer. And then come the fall, hopefully she can wear the same shoes. Maybe not. So
Right.
That sucks.
Yes, it does. But like then today we went to BJ's, went out to lunch, and then we had to go to BJ's and do some shopping for Lucy's birthday party this weekend. Then my wife was like, here's some cash. I'm like, what's this for? She said, you haven't been to the casino in a while, so why don't you go to the casino for a little while and play some games? So went to the casino, and on my first $20, I won 150, and so I came out $200 ahead. I took it, cashed it out, and went home.
You went to the casino in Tampa?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess your phone's broken.
Yeah.
I'm a lonely man. I could have very easily gone to the casino today.
Well, Jason,
I
figured
one thing to get me out of the gosh darn house. I'd have gone to the casino.
Okay, well, Jason, we got to coordinate this better next time. But
no, you suck.
I figured you were spending the day with your children. I wasn't going to bother you. But
Mike, while I recover from all of this, you go ahead. You tell me what you did today, buddy. What did you do?
I mean, when you're talking about the shoes, I'm kind of thinking in my mind, and think about this, guys. I wanted to throw this out there today. As dads, we win and we lose sometimes. There's dad wins and dad fails. So I want you to come up with, from this week at some point, a dad win and a dad fail. So I've got, Jason, you talked about the shoes, right? My daughter, we are jamming her into her lacrosse cleats for this weekend's lacrosse tournament. I mean, like I think her toe might have turned a different color. I'm not sure last weekend, but we are making her finish the season with these cleats. So, number one, that's probably my fault. I'll take the fall for that. And then I actually had two fails. I had a grill issue earlier this week. We were grilling burgers, and Julie's mom brought the meat over for the burgers, and it was like 80-20 or something like that, ground beef. And that's a little bit fattier than what we use. And oh my grease fire, my friends. Like, I had it all done. They were sitting on the top rack to just get cheese on them in a beautiful, like, medium pink temperature when the orange flame like engulfed everything. I'm flipping out like Michael Scott in the stress relief office of the episode of The Office. I'm like, stay calm. Everybody stay calm. And Josh is meanwhile, Dad, I'm getting water from the sink. I'm like, thanks, buddy. So, anyway, we got the fire out. They were a little charred on the outside, but that was not a dad win for the weekend. But anyway, back to the dad win for the weekend. We played some golf yesterday. My son, Josh, my dad, and I played in a Father's Day scramble at Tanglewood Manor, which is in southern PA in like Lancaster. And we had a lot of fun. We got to play our best ball between the three of us, and we finished in second place in our flight. And Josh got to pick his prize, and he brought home a hot dog shaped head cover, he is in love with it. So that was awesome. Got some good pictures, had some good memories with that. And then today we were on the lacrosse field again for Seals lacrosse tournament up outside of Westchester area, Pennsylvania, Kennett Square area. So we were there this weekend, which brings me to my next point. I know I'm going through a lot here, but we were playing a bunch of lacrosse teams, and the big thing with girls lacrosse is these big flashy colors and uniforms, and like there's lime green and neon yellow and bright blue, and we're just orange and blue with lacrosse. I'm seeing all these things, and I got to thinking, what would I name a lacrosse team? And I was thinking, what about TLC? And it's because there's like FLC for Falston, there's BLC, there's BB Lax. I was like, TLC, and we would be the waterfalls. Like, don't go chasing waterfalls. I think it would be awesome, right? It's like TLC waterfalls, which leads me to my next point. You guys have a punishment because I was a winner. I was a winner this week, right, Jason?
That's right. That's right. If you guys remember the last time all three of us, I should say, like, sorry, I was out last week. We had an impromptu family trip to Legoland. So Jim graciously filled in for me. I really appreciate that. But yes, the week before, we all picked our picks on how the Orioles would do in their two series, how the NBA finals would end up in those games that week, and then also the NHL. And Mike guessed right on the Orioles going 4-2. John said they'd be 3-3, and I pessimistically went 2-4. And Mike won 4-2. Thank goodness. Gracious loser here on that end. Now, as far as the NBA goes, I believe, Mike, you said that 1-1. It would be, I said, I think 2-0. And John did the same for the Thunder. And then the NHL, John picked 2-1 on Edmonton side. And Mike, did you do the same?
I had 2-1 Edmonton.
And then I had 2-1 Florida. So Mike had 2 categories correct. I had 1. John had 0. So that's just a recap for you guys. And Mike gets to pick our punishment on what we're going to do. So I don't know. I guess, John, and you and I might be gone for the rest of the show. It might be the Mike show.
It might be. But
Jason,
you're at Legoland, man. You should have come shared my studio. I live like 5 minutes from Legoland.
Oh, I know. I couldn't get, dude. Legoland, let me tell you.
Did you like the aquarium? It's new.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
Okay.
so we're pass holders at Legoland. We go all the time, blah, blah, blah. But like this is the first time they have a brand new aquarium. It was cool. But the way the setup is for the room is like the kids are in the other room with a bunk bed and there's nothing separating. And then we have then the bathroom and then our bed. And like Cole, he obviously would be better if he had his own room and like a door keeping him in because he likes to come out and walk around and stuff like that. He usually does that in his own room. When there's no door keeping him in there, he likes to come out and see us. And I'm like, oh, this is going to last forever. And at like 11 o'clock, we put him to bed at like 8:30, 11 o'clock. I'm like, oh, good, he's passed out. Great. Oh, the show's over. All right. Guess I missed this one. But Mike, I'm sorry, long-winded response. Back to your punishment for us, apparently.
Oh no, absolutely. So based on my brain kind of working with the TLC waterfalls, it brought me to the movie The Other Guys. You guys ever seen the movie The Other Guys? Will Ferrell is constantly dropping TLC references in his everyday conversation in that movie. Something about I don't want no scrubs, this, that, and the other. So, Jason, your band is Aerosmith,
Oh,
and John, your band is AC/DC. I need to have at least 3 random references in the course of this evening's broadcast where you're referencing either a song title or a lyric from Aerosmith or AC/DC.
oh my gosh. This is a really bad category for me. I don't do well with the music. Oh no. But
Oh,
all right, I
AC/DC.
will
I
try my
got this
best.
in the bag, Mike. You're
Yeah, I
good
mean,
to
I'll pay
go.
attention, Mike, because I definitely don't want to miss a thing while we're doing
See,
it.
Yes, there
So
it
I'll
is.
just
I'm
keep.
thunderstruck. It's this easy.
Oh
Oh,
my.
see, that's a reach, but I'll give it to you. All right, so you guys each got one. You got 2 left. We get the idea. We want to see them randomly throughout this evening's podcast.
All right, fair
That's
enough.
awesome.
All right, well, we'll
Perfect.
give it a shot. So, okay. So the O's. Speaking of 4-2, Mike. Oh goodness gracious, I don't know. I really don't know what to really think yet. I mean, it makes perfect sense how everything kind of plays out. Um, they they go 1-2 against the Tigers, who again they're the best team in the American League right now, and then they sweep the Angels, which just good baseball all around. They won the close games. They had the blowouts. Even they even had the blowout against the Tigers. So it's really keeping everyone engaged. And I guess today's win to me stands out. Oh, I guess I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to keep interrupting, but there we go.
Hey,
Got
Pirate Jason's back.
pirate hat. That's it,
Do you know
man.
the story behind the pirate hat, Jason?
I don't, but I'm on the bandwagon. You want to go ahead and tell everyone what the story is?
Well, John and I were trying to figure out the idea behind the pirate hat tonight. We were talking before the show, and apparently Gunnar Henderson brought that back from what was it, Disney? John?
Disneyland. Yeah, when the Orioles were in Anaheim earlier this season, I guess he went to Disneyland with his fiance or something, and they rode Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and he had the great idea of purchasing one of these hats. And now they just wear it in the dugout. I don't know if there's anything behind it, but
Every
my
time they
my
hit the home
son,
run, they wear
yeah,
that.
my son came away with the sword. So, he could have probably brought the sword back too, but I don't know. I don't know. He brought the hat. Pretty cool.
With the injuries that the Orioles have right now, I'm not sure the sword's a great idea, John.
Now,
Yeah, probably not. It's high quality
well,
plastic.
yeah. So before I went on the hat tangent, the today's win really stuck out to me because there was no Holiday in the lineup, there was no Cowser in the lineup, and no Adley in the lineup, and yet they still score 11 runs. And look, I don't want to nitpick. I don't want to go off on another tangent, but they're called runs. And if you listen to Tony Mansolino's post-game press conference, he said points, and it hurts my soul. It hurts my soul. They're called runs in baseball. They're not called points, Tony. Okay? Not a good look, but again, we don't have to. I don't want to be mean. I'm just saying between you and me, Tony. All right, I'm back. So, yeah, Mike, to me, big win today. They did it with, I don't want to say reserves because they didn't do it with reserves. All these guys, like Urias is a full-time player. All these guys are. And to me, it's Laureano has really held himself in a high regard for them. So to me, I mean, big win today, specifically.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I don't disagree, Jason. I feel like I know Hearn wasn't in the lineup either. I know you mentioned the other guys, but Hearn wasn't in the lineup either. So to win that game the way they won it with so many of their regulars not playing was impressive. And it was kind of a more right-handed lineup, right? So Mayo was playing first base, and you had Gary Sanchez playing. And let's talk about Gary Sanchez for a minute. He looks healthy and like a different player. Bases loaded situation, and he hits a grand slam after, is it Laureano, I believe, struck out on an inside pitch that was a really nice pitch from their reliever, but took a high fastball and just took it over the fence, which was awesome because that gave them the breathing room to kind of finish the game. And then Jordan Westberg playing really well. I think he had 3 home runs in the series. So both those guys, right-handed bats heating up to go ahead with some of our lefties who are already hitting well, like Jackson and Seti and O'Hearn. And now you're seeing hits being passed up and down the lineup, kind of a change from the season. I looked at the a little bit of stats, did a little deep dive on some stats, just so you guys can kind of see the change throughout the season. The O's batting average in April was 30th in MLB at 206. In May, 250, 15th. And then now they are in June, 4th in MLB with a 263 batting average. So you can kind of see that over month by month, they're slowly getting better. Additionally, ERA has done the same exact thing. They started with a 5.64 in April, which is 29th in baseball. May was still pretty bad, 5.21 at 27th. But in June, they are 5th in Major League Baseball with a 2.9 ERA. So you can see they're trending in the right direction. Does that mean they're a playoff team? No. But are they more middle of the pack than bottom? Absolutely. I think they're a more middle of the pack team. So that means if you're top 7, you're on the edge of playoffs.
I think so. It's a long way to the top for them. So, I think if we can keep these kind of, Gary Sanchez guys reliable, every, giving Adley a Sunday off here and there, and he's able to, give that little boost of power and stuff, that's going to make us go a long way because, Adley, catching is probably the most difficult position in baseball, taxing on your body. And if we can get Gary Sanchez, who's, going to give us a good game out of 1 out of every 7, I think that's going to really help Adley, and that's going to help, Tony figure out that, what, we can sit Adley for a day or two without having repercussions of not having Adley in the lineup.
If I remember, John, and now's my chance to call you out here. If I remember a couple weeks ago, you said there was a log jam at the catcher position and that Gary Sanchez needed to be released.
Yes, I need to apologize. I need to apologize to Gary Sanchez for that. Mike and I were talking about that before you hopped on, that we need to apologize to O'Hearn, or Mike needs to apologize to O'Hearn and some others. And I need to apologize to Gary Sanchez because I did say that. I said, we need to release him or trade him and figure out what to do. But
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Weekend.
Sorry, Ryan.
Well, it's to me, this is a Gary Sanchez that they signed, and he just was off to a slow start. Then he got injured, and I don't know if that injury was like something that had lingered from earlier on in the year when he was struggling. That I don't know, but this is the Gary Sanchez I thought. Like he'd come in he's hit 2 home runs in 2 games. That's great. Now, is this how he's going to be all the time? Absolutely not. But like veteran guys, we keep talking about veteran guys. There's your veteran. Like he's not gonna that's a lead by example. Like 4 runs on 1 swing that changed everything for today. So more of that, great. I love it. And I mean the next couple series they have aren't going to be easy. I mean they come down here to Florida to play the Rays for 4 games and the Yankees for 3. That alone, I don't want to say there's one part of your year that could really point you in one direction or another, but that's exactly what could happen. That's a 7-game spin here. So if they come out of this, I don't know, 4-3, that's terrific. 3-4, okay, fine. But if they come out of here 5-2, great. 2 wins out of this thing or less, now we're back to where we were before. But it depends how these games go too, Mike. Like if they're hard-fought games where you lose by a little bit, I just don't think. I mean, it's a completely different baseball team than it was a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's about starting pitching. Can they continue to pitch well? And you saw a little quirk in their starting pitching with the openers that they used during the last week. So my question for you guys was, number one, what did you think of that? I thought it was a pretty effective strategy in today's game, and a little bit, last time, in the fact that now those starting pitchers don't have to necessarily see a group of players 3 times through. Maybe you have the matchups in the beginning. You can maybe have them flip their lineup around a little bit, and then maybe you get 2 times through the lineup with your starter, and then you're already to your higher leverage relievers. That's, I think, the goal. But maybe you guys can talk to what you thought about that kind of change in the rotation.
I thought it
John,
was
you want to
good.
start?
I thought it was good. I think it's a different way of doing it, but like today, Povich comes in and what his second or third pitch he bounced it and kind of popped right up in the air, and Sanchez couldn't find the ball and went in. But I like the idea because they always talk about, okay, the first time through your order, your average or the opponent's batting average is much lower, earned runs are down, blah blah blah. But by the second and third time, that's when you start having problems. But if your second or third time is in the seventh inning instead of in the fourth or the fifth, and you've already flipped their lineup and they may have had to make some changes to adjust or whatever the case might be, I think it plays to your advantage. And I think it's much better than those, remember those bullpen games where I think it was the Rays who had like 3 starters and then they had like 2 bullpen games. But I like it. I like this setup, and I like how after Povich bounced that one, he looked good. He was performing, I think, at the level that we're going to win a lot of ball games.
Yeah, I mean, oh, man, I'm such a baseball purist, and I'm such an old soul when it comes to this stuff. Like, I don't want to see this stuff, but I get it. Like, I mean, I want the Bulldog, Messina, Burns. Jack Morris, Andy Pettit, like Roger Clemens. Like, give these guys the ball. Know you're getting 7 and 8 innings out of these guys. And to do it this way to me is like, it's like sacrilege, right? But if you're getting W's out of it, I don't care. So I'll take it. And if it's helping your pitching staff, the funny thing about what I just said was all of those guys, we don't have anyone like that. Now, Bradish is the closest that we'd have to that. When he gets back into the normal Bradish way, to me, there's your Bulldog. Like, that's your staff leader until you bring in somebody else. Grayson Rodriguez, God knows what he'll become. But until then, if this is what's going to help these guys, Mike, I'm 100% for it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. A guy like Scott Blewett, who pitched today, correct? He's maybe a middle reliever kind of guy for the Orioles. So to use him maybe to get through an inning or two at the beginning of the game, I don't mind that strategy. At some point, that's going to backfire, I assume, and they're going to light one of these guys up. I'm curious what they do to adjust at that point, if they change their strategy at all. But the idea of getting those guys, like you said, John, later in the game, in that way isn't a horrible idea, especially if there's a particular hitter that you want to try to get out of the lineup, lefty, lefty, righty, righty, that kind of thing. It's not a horrible idea matchup wise. But interestingly enough, like you said, Jason, they have a series with the Rays coming up, and the Rays pitching staff is excellent. Looking at the ERAs of the starters coming into the series, they're all in the 3 area, like with their ERAs. The Rays always seem to have quality starting pitching whenever we go down there. So that's why I said it's such a big deal for us to get good starting pitching down there. The ballpark is going to be different, right, boys? Maybe you can talk to that living in that area. What are they going to expect heading down to Tampa?
Well, it's going to be hot. It's going to
John?
be hot in here. Sorry, Jason. Go ahead. I was starting to talk and you said Jason. Go ahead, Jason. Why don't you?
No, it's okay, John. You start. Go ahead. No worries.
Okay. Well,
we don't want no scrubs.
We don't want no.
Well, I'll just take a shot in the dark and tell you it's gonna be hot and humid.
Yes, well done.
I'm done.
That's Ozzy, right?
I got my 3 out of there. My 3.
I think that's Ozzy, isn't it? I don't know. That's AC/DC.
Well,
oh my gosh,
I have a list here of AC/DC songs, and "Shot in the Dark" is on this list.
Okay, so, maybe it's not the same one. Gotcha.
No,
go ahead.
No, so I used "It's a Long Way to the Top," Thunderstruck, and "Shot in the Dark." So I'm done. I'm good. I don't have to work on that any longer. But it's gonna be hot and humid. It may rain, but they pushed the game start times back to 7:35 with hopes that the afternoon shower will have passed and they'll be able to play. So that's Florida weather this time of year. Jason, what do you think? You live closer over there by the water.
So it's like John's right. It's humid. It's hot. The ball's going to carry like crazy. The ballpark's small. It's a spring training ballpark, right? So it's funny because we have a much better lineup, much better hitters than the Rays do. And I really do think what's going to happen, that's great that you said all that about the Rays pitching staff. If like me, I have really got I should say back into fantasy baseball over the last year and a half or so. And what everyone keeps talking about is how the middle of the summer, any of the pitchers at Tampa, that's great right now, like I said, but eventually those pitchers are going to start getting hit hard. And even if they only go up in an ERA, like a run or so on their ERA, it just might happen based on the ball carrying out there. So I am 100% on board that our lineup will be in really good shape. So I'm not, but I don't know how our pitching is going to handle out there either. So it's kind of one of those 50-50 type things. We're kind of living on the edge, Mike.
Well
Yeah.
done, sir. Well
Good
done.
job.
Well done. I like the health of our lineup right now. I guess that's the most encouraging thing for me. Like I'm excited to see Laureano and Cowser. Hopefully he's healthy, get back out there and Seti roam in the outfield and not allowing balls to drop that have, in previous games this year because our defense was so suspect out there. Urias made an outstanding play late in the game today to snag a ground ball that should have been a base hit. It's just nice to see them kind of playing complementary baseball. So they can continue that trend. Obviously momentum is so important in baseball, and it seems like they're gathering some positive momentum right here. So I'm excited to see if they can carry that over into Tampa and then into New York. My biggest thing with New York, thinking further down the road with that series, is Aaron Judge. I'm always looking at Aaron Judge. Is he hot? So he was not hot this weekend. He had a tough series so far. I don't know how he's doing tonight. Were they playing at Boston tonight again?
They were this afternoon. They had an afternoon
Okay.
game. Tonight's game was the Giants and the Dodgers.
Okay. So, I was just curious because I don't think he had two very good games against Boston. And then I'm like, all right, that means he's due to just destroy us when he comes in, when we come in there in a couple of days because he doesn't stay cold very long. He's just that kind of hitter. So how they work around Aaron Judge is going to be a key to that series when they go up to New York. I think that's going to be a monster key.
He was
Yeah, they were shut
12.
out
He was 1 for 12. He was 1
in the
for 12 in the
series.
series. Yes.
And the Red Sox won 2-0 today. They shut them out. I mean, Mike, I'm okay with at this point in our lives and Aaron Judge's lives and baseball's lives that he just gets the Barry Bonds treatment. Like, why do we have to pitch to this guy? That Yankees lineup, I don't want to hear from anybody out there telling me how great this lineup is. That lineup is not good. Like, outside of Aaron Judge, who makes other guys around him better, that lineup isn't that spectacular. So let's just I would take my chances with everyone else. If there's no one on base and you're up, you want to pitch to him, fine. But there's no reason to pitch to this guy. And if you're trying to win games, you're trying to climb back in, by all means, let's just give him the Barry Bonds treatment because that's how much respect I have for Aaron Judge.
Well, let me ask you guys this too, in relation to the Judge thing. Like tomorrow night, Eflin's pitching. So how much familiarity? There's a couple guys who are gone, like Randy Arozarena and a couple others. But how does his familiarity tomorrow night with that Rays lineup enable him to pitch? Does that help him or does that harm him? Because we see these lineups, what, 4 or 5 times a year now, 6 times a year. But having actually been in that clubhouse, knowing these guys' tendencies, having been on the mound with them behind you and then watching them hit, how does that help him? Mike, do you have any thoughts on that?
Kind of hard to figure that out. I mean, I think obviously he's watching them hit from the dugout every night, so he kind of probably has an idea scouting report wise, but I doubt he delved as deeply into his own players as he did on his opponent's scouting reports. I feel like the sabermetrics and all that kind of stuff and all the technology they utilize today to do scouting reports on your opponent is so in depth that he probably hasn't broken down the guys he's going to face until now when he's getting ready to face them. But I think he'll be. I don't think it really impacts it too much one way or the other. Jason, do you have a differing opinion?
Oh, I don't think it hurts at all. I think it's definitely an advantage. I don't know if it's like a huge advantage because, Mike, you're right. But I can tell you, any player I've ever played with, I mean, no matter if it's softball, baseball, when we were growing up, I can tell you how, we played against guys growing up in high school and then we played with them on travel ball. I can tell you where you shouldn't pitch them or where I should, if I'm facing a guy that's pitching and I'm I can tell the next guy how to do it, doesn't mean he's going to be able to do it. But Like, you know what I mean? Because everyone still is within their own abilities. So he might have a better plan than somebody coming out of the minors or someone that doesn't face them. But when Mike's right, when you're in the American League East and you face a team so many times, it does give you that advantage just from that, John.
Yeah, that was what I kind of think is, he hears the talk in the clubhouse, about so and so is, really working on trying to get better against the off speed pitch away or whatever, and he hears that stuff. So I just, like in NFL, it's a little bit different. You bring a guy in who knows the playbook, it's different. But I think there's a little advantage. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, so just a couple of numbers as I look Eflin versus the current Rays lineup. Yandy Diaz has a home run and RBI and 6 at bats. And then Morel, the left fielder, is a home run and an RBI and 6 at bats. And Walls, the shortstop, has a home run and 8 at bats. So you can kind of see, and Danny Jansen, the catcher, has hit 667 off of him. So I don't think it's a big sample size, but there's some numbers for you.
Well, that's good. Thank you. And I think, not having Kerstad on there who can't put the ball in the air, I think that will help us, especially in this ballpark. But, Laureano has been, surprised me. I think he's gonna hit a couple out this week, I think, and getting the ball in the air. He's been doing a pretty good job of that.
And if Ron Washington can give Gunnar Henderson the Barry Bonds treatment tonight, I think we can give Aaron Judge the same treatment this weekend coming up.
I mean, again, it really comes down to this. It's like, why let one guy beat you when it's not necessary? Make all these other guys earn it. And then if the bases are loaded and you have nowhere to put them, then you got to pitch to them. Or you can take the Jason / Buck Showalter way of life. And you know what? Just go ahead and say 1 run's better than 4.
Absolutely.
Make a decision. It's like, it's tough. And for that reference, in case anyone listening isn't aware of it, like Buck Showalter, when he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks, intentionally walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded. Not a bad in theory, but Jeff Kent was also very good behind Barry Bonds. So there's
right, but didn't he have Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling on that pitching staff along with Byung-Hun Kim?
And he still got fired.
But and I think we're also forgetting, guys, you don't have to necessarily just intentionally walk somebody. You can pitch around somebody.
Right.
Just don't give him anything to hit. So, like, if there's nobody on base, just nibble at the corners and try to get him to chase your pitch. But you just can't make a mistake.
Well, you're assuming that like all is well and like your pinpoint accuracy is good that day. It's like if you're a little off, oh boy. I've seen that catcher's mitt go up in one direction and the ball go the completely other direction. So that makes me a little nervous as far as that.
Unless your name's Greg Maddux, I don't think a lot of guys are doing that. They're gonna have to make sure it's far enough off the plate that a guy who's 6'7" can't reach it. But anyway, Aaron Judge, though, did you guys see the article or the video where he was like, because he looks like a NBA player, what's the name, Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
You see that video where he's in the grocery store and the guy's like, "Aren't you playing right now?"
Right.
Because how many 6'7" guys are going to be in the grocery store?
Oh yeah. Yep. It's funny you mentioned Greg Maddux. I'll tell you, I've never had more appreciation. Like when you get older and you're out of the game and like you appreciate people for what they did afterwards. Greg Maddux is definitely one of those for me. Like I didn't realize what I was watching when I was younger until you look back and see how good that guy was. Same thing with Barry Bonds. Like I don't care about any of the steroid stuff. It's just when you're that good, you're that good. So do we want to go ahead and give our recommendations for the O's while we're talking about the O's right now?
Absolutely.
What they're going to do these next couple series. Mike, you are the defending champion this week. And because of that, I do have to play this game of yours. But I will go ahead and let you go ahead from there.
Oh, no Aerosmith reference. Okay.
No, not yet, Mike. Not yet. Even though there is a hole in my soul, Mike.
There it is.
I will let you go first.
All right. Full circle. It's come full circle back to me. So the Rays series, I think, is a split. I'll go 2-2 in the Rays series, and I'll live with that. That's a tough place to play. tough team to face with their starting pitching. I could see a couple low scoring games in that series. And then they go to New York, where I think they take 2 of 3 from the Yankees. I just think they're playing better baseball right now. The Yankees struggled with Boston this weekend. So I just think the Orioles are playing better baseball. So give me, what's that make them? 2
They
and 2, 4 and 3.
4-3. Yes.
Okay, John.
I like the confidence. Excuse me. I like the confidence that we're playing with. I think I'm going to be a little more optimistic. I think we're going to take 3 or 4 from the Rays, and we're going to take 2 of 3 from the Yankees. I think the air down here will help our bats, and I think we're going to be hitting quite a few. I think they're going to be high scoring games, at least on our end. I think we're going to be hitting some long balls, and I think we're going to be doing pretty well. I think we're on like you talked about earlier, Mike. We have momentum. We're moving along, and I think we're moving in the right direction. So I'm going to say we'll take 3 of 4 and then 2 of 3.
Man, I was just smoking what you guys are smoking.
It's the tequila. It's the tequila, Jason.
Here, John. Here. Now I don't know. I want to do what you guys are doing. I really do. I think they're going to go 2 and 2 against the Rays, and I think they're going to take 1 or 2 against the Yankees. So unfortunately, I'm going to take the pessimistic side, which worked out for all of us last time. So let's stick to that. We'll go ahead. I'll go 3 and 4 on this road trip, which again isn't the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. You only lose 1 game difference. So I will go 3 and 4. As much as I want John to win with the 5-2, and then come up with our punishment.
Oh yeah, that's all I'm thinking about.
They'll get back in the saddle again after that.
Oh, look at you!
Oh, there
I'm
you go.
helping you out, Jason.
Thanks, buddy. I already did my 3. I had to do 3, right?
Yeah.
I did 3.
Yeah, I know, but I was just keeping it going. It was a good vibe.
I mean, I could definitely keep it going. I really could.
You have what it takes.
Oh wow, I love it.
So,
Wow.
so Jason, let me ask you this question: how does it feel to lose by proxy? Because you weren't here last week, and I won,
Right.
and you lost by proxy. So how does losing by proxy mean?
My friend, here we go. That was not my proxy. He was just taking place. He was a participant of the game. And if I was here and he was a guest, he still would have been a participant of the game. Okay, that's what I'm saying. But since I have been on this show, I have yet to lose in Jeopardy. So I'm still undefeated. And my friend, I heard the questions from Mike, and I was I was hoping Jim was going to reach out to me or text me because I would have curb stomped you. I almost knew every single one of those, especially the Gary Baxter one, number 28. You guys killing me.
That just slipped my mind.
Well, since you said that, we were scheduled to do the different segment, but we'll run right into this segment. Why not? Everyone's favorite trivia game. It is Dad Bod Sports Jeopardy. And John, how do I do the thing again? I need to go back to the. Yeah, there you go, John.
That one? Yeah, it's on the.
Well done. All right. Well, fellas, we are going to do, let's see, what are we going to do tonight? Hold on. Let me go to my right thing here.
Well, Mike, you'll be hosting next week, so better start working on that now.
Oh, wow.
Man, that's smack talk. John, while we're waiting, why don't you tell us one of your dad fails?
One of my dad fails. Okay. Well, so I was at BJ's and we bought the kids a slip and slide. And it was like it was a big one. It's like, I don't know, 25 by 35 or something. I turn it on and there's a big hole in the bottom. So we had to take it back. I set it up, plugged it in, turned the handle on, turned the hose on, everything. And there was a hole in the bottom. So,
yeah. That's not that bad, man. That's not really your fault. And I thought you were going to say like you forgot to hook the water up to it or something like that, but that's not bad.
No, I forgot to put the dish soap on it. That's what I did
Yeah.
forget to do. You know, you got to put dish soap on those things. Oh, and the other dad fail was my daughter's birthday tomorrow, and I put her card that I bought at the store in the center console of my car. Well, I didn't think about the latch hitting it, so the latch hit it and bent it. So the card was like bent in half when I brought it in to give it to my wife to sign for my daughter. So that was not a good moment. Next time I'll just set it in the seat next to me. I'll be more careful next time. But Jason, are we ready to go, sir?
I think so.
Okay,
All right.
let's
So
go.
tonight we have, for one of our categories, women in sports. Another category, first evers. And our third category, championship heroes. And just so you all know out there, this is very similar to the original Jeopardy game, where we have 3 categories, though, instead of 6. Each one of these categories is either 100, 500, or 1,000 points. And then you have to, well, we're going to let everyone play Final Jeopardy regardless. But the only way you can actually win is if you have positive points going into Final Jeopardy.
Please tell me this first Evers is not about the Quinn Evers quarterback. Please
no,
tell
it's
me
actually no, it's about your dating life.
Oh, okay.
And how things went. I spoke to your wife, and I got lots of questions.
Okay,
Oh my
very good, Jason.
gosh.
All right.
Can I abstain from that portion of the show?
I think we should all abstain.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Well, John, you get to choose the category whenever you're ready.
All right, so let's go with first Evers for 100.
For 100. The first Baltimore Ravens player to have over 1,000 yards receiving.
Mike? Michael Jackson?
You are correct. Over 1,200 yards receiving in 1996. Well done, Mike.
Not the singer. The guy who played receiver for the Ravens. Not the spin around. Glove guy.
I'm sure he sung at some point in his life, maybe in the shower or something along those lines.
We should have to work in Michael Jackson references for the rest of the show.
There you go. Go ahead, Mike. Whenever you're ready.
With that. No. All right. Let's take first Evers for 500.
This WNBA team won the first ever WNBA championship in 1997.
Oh, man.
Because you guys look pathetic, I'm going to also let you know they won the first 4 WNBA championships.
John.
Mike.
Was it the New York Liberty?
It was not the New York.
Dadgummit.
John.
The
Phoenix Mercury.
You are incorrect. It was the Houston Comets.
Oh, that's right. They had Cheryl Swoops and what was the other girl? Cynthia Turner or something. And yeah.
All right. So, Mike, you are still in control, even though you both got this incorrect. Mike has minus 400 and John has minus 500.
It could be one of those nights, Johnny boy. All right, give me.
I'm curb stopping you with negative 400.
First Evers for $1 million.
For $1 million. All right. First Baltimore Oriole to hit over 40 home runs. Oh, you guys look nervous. There's all kinds of things. Mike, don't start crying.
Aerosmith. Yes.
There you go. I'm on a highway to hell for not knowing
4, 3.
John. Let's go with Eddie Murray.
You are incorrect. It was Mike. 5.
I mean, can I guess for fun? But I don't know.
Time's up. Mike, you may guess.
Is it Frank Robinson?
He did hit 49 home runs in 1966, but that is incorrect because Diamond Jim Gentile hit 46 in 1961.
Wow. That's a good question.
That was a good
All
question.
right.
I had either Boog Powell or Eddie Murray were the two that I was thinking of.
And John, you are negative 1,500. Mike, you are negative 400. All right.
Jason,
So
if
we
no one
have.
wins, do you host again?
Ooh, no, I get the. That's true. No, we all
Well,
three get to play, and we have a guest host.
I love it.
there we go. Jim, I'm
Yeah.
feeling like you were Jim, if you're listening, I'm feeling like how you were feeling last week.
Uh,
I think Jim was like what? Jim was like negative. I have it right here. Yeah, Jim was like negative 500 at the end of the game.
yep. Well,
Let's
yes, that's
go
correct.
championship heroes for 100.
This pitcher had a 2-0 record with a 1.17 ERA over 23 innings pitched on his way to the World Series MVP in 1991.
Mike,
Mike,
Jack Morris.
you are correct. And let me tell you how freaking ridiculous that series was with him pitching. He could have very easily been 3-0, but they lost 3 in Atlanta. But holy crap, dude. 23 innings at 1.17 ERA, 10 innings of shutout ball in game 7.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, Mike, you are at negative 300. And what do you want to do?
Keep going. 500 in the championship heroes.
This player hit 379 with a record tying 5 home runs. He added 7 RBIs and 8 runs scored on his way to winning the MVP award in the 2017 World Series. Record tying 5 home runs.
17.
5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. George Springer of the Houston Astros.
That's right. George Cheaton Springer.
Yay. All right.
Bang on some trash cans while we're at it.
Jason, you
Mike?
believe way too much in us. Yeah. Let's go championship heroes for 1,000.
I was very upset that you guys made things really hard a couple weeks ago, so now I'm getting you all back. Okay. Yeah. For 1,000, this quarterback holds the record for the most touchdown passes in a single Super Bowl with 6.
Oh, this is tough, Jason. There's so many to choose from.
5, 4.
Okay, John.
3.
I'm so far in the
John.
hole, it don't matter. It don't matter.
I'm already putting negative 1,000 on here, just so you know.
Okay. Let's go with Phil Simms from the New York Giants.
You are now negative 2,500.
I'll guess for fun.
Okay.
But let the time run out first.
It's
Yeah,
out.
let the time run
5.
out.
Well,
Time ran out. Great.
You're the only one that could guess.
It's not Joe Montana, is it?
It's not, but it's his former teammate.
Steve Young.
Yeah, against the San Diego at the time, the San Diego Chargers. All right. So that leaves, Michael, the category of women in sports for 1, 5, or 1,000.
Uno.
100. This athlete is the most decorated U.S. female speed skater, winning 6 medals.
John.
5. John.
Bonnie Blair.
Wow, John, you have negative 2,400 now. You got that correct. Well done.
I can't even make Final Jeopardy. Oh no, I can make Final Jeopardy.
You got to get both these questions right to go.
If I get the last 2 right, then I'll beat Mike. And
if the answer doesn't pertain to my daughter's lacrosse team, I'm probably going to be in trouble right here.
Listen, guys, you're both in the negatives, so you're going to both get to play for fun, regardless. Final Jeopardy. All right, but Mike, you can still get out of it. All right, for 500, this former Yukon Husky. Oh wait, did you want 500 or 1,000, John?
500, please.
Okay, this former Yukon Husky led her team to 4 national championships while winning Final Four most outstanding player 4 times.
John.
8. John.
Diana Taurasi.
Incorrect. And I didn't even finish the question. So hold on. That's -5. Mike, John, you're at negative 2,900. All right.
Well, I had to take the chance, man.
So to finish, would you like me to finish the question, Mike?
Please.
While winning Final Four Most Outstanding Player 4 times, AP Player of the Year 3 times, and a Wooden Award winner 2 times.
Oh, I know who it is. Can I guess again and lose?
There are a lot of good UConn players. I'm struggling with which one it is, so I'm not going to answer no.
Okay, John, do you want to guess just for
Is
fun?
it Rebecca Lobo?
You are incorrect. And did she
my guess was Paige Beckers, but I don't think that's right.
Brianna Stewart.
Oh, okay.
Brianna Stewart.
Yeah. Wow, John, I got all kinds of math going on your side of the page here. You can see it. Okay. All right. Final question here. See if Mike can get out of the hole and John can dig himself out a little bit. All right. For 1,000, this Houston Comets guard won the first 2 league MVP awards.
John. Cheryl Swoops.
Incorrect. It's the other one.
Oh, the other one.
And he already said it, Mike. If you were listening to him earlier, he already said the name, except he said the wrong.
I'm a bad listener. Yeah, I don't think that was the person. Not the person he said. I didn't think was right though.
No, he said the wrong. He said part of the name right.
Give me a second to think. Is it
the last name? I said the last name correct.
I will accept the last name only.
I don't know. I wasn't a good listener. I should guess though, probably, right? Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't matter. I mean you're gonna beat John regardless.
Is it Candace Parker? I don't know.
No, it's Cooper.
It was Cynthia Cooper.
Yeah, there we go.
And Swoop. Okay.
I figured it was one of the two, and I guessed the wrong one. Ugh.
All right. So
sorry, women out there. I know it's Father's Day, but we did not represent super well there. I apologize.
And just to remind everyone, I actually don't have to look any of these questions up. I just do it just to verify that I'm right. So I'm really sorry for these two. I apologize, ladies. I really do. Okay. However, we are back to Final Jeopardy, and neither one of you have anything to bid.
So, Jason, you get to host again next week.
Right. Well, actually, John, you lost pretty bad. I mean, you have negative 2,900 points.
Well, but see, that's not curb stomp. That's just if I hadn't answered any questions, I would have won.
Well, there's a strategy. Why not?
Maybe next time.
Okay. So, Final Jeopardy question. Sons and fathers for Father's Day. And the question is, what you guys don't have to obviously do anything. John, you can play the Final Jeopardy music if you'd like, but the question is, this father-son duo led the major leagues all time in home runs for fathers and sons that played in the majors. John, since you are way behind, I will allow you to go first. I can't see that. I'm blind.
I wagered 1 with about 10 zeros after it.
Nice.
Try to get in the positive. I said Bonds.
You are correct. It is Barry and Bobby Bonds. Mike, did you guess the same?
I did. I had Barry and Bobby Bonds.
Now, if one of you can name the next two on the list, the next two father-sons on the list in order, I will give you a bonus of 100 when you play me next week. So you will already start off 100.
The Griffeys should be on there, yeah.
Griffeys are probably second, and then are the Bells third.
Mike, that's your guess, John?
Yeah, that's.
Do you have a guess, Michael?
I'd say Griffey's are second.
Oh no, I
And
know who's. Oh well, it could be Bell.
I gotta think for a second on who's third.
Are we doing just fathers?
Fielders, maybe? Fielders third?
Good guess, but it is the Alous third.
Oh yes, that
Uwe
makes
and
sense.
Moises.
That makes sense.
No lead
Yeah.
next week, as Mike and Jason will battle it out, as John will be the host, because unless I find a guest host, we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can play around with it.
Let's see if we find a guest host. If we bring somebody on to talk about something, yeah, that would be good.
Was that a little difficult for you, Michael and John? Are those questions too hard?
It wasn't difficult. It's difficult when I have two answers in my head and I picked the wrong one.
Nice.
I think your pirate hat was throwing me off. I wasn't sure if you were Alex Trebek or a pirate, so I was really concerned.
I think I thought most of them, since you're a pirate, start with the letter R. Because R is a pirate's favorite letter.
All right. Well, moving on to our next segment here. There was a tiny little golf tournament going on this weekend, Mike. The U.S. Open, which is actually one of my favorite Father's Day traditions. I did not, unfortunately, get to watch a lot of it this time, but it looks like JJ Spawn came back at the end and ended up winning the U.S. Open today with a 64 or some foot putt or something at the end to win. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, so he went into that hole leading by a stroke, and he ended up winning by 2 strokes with the birdie. So had he just parred that hole, he probably would have won. But the guy in front of him had that same putt and went a little past the hole, so he had a beautiful read. And all he had to do was lag it, which, let me tell you, if you ever play golf, it sounds easy just to get it near the hole and let it sit there, but it's not. And not only did he lag it, he put it right in the hole. And it was I had goosebumps watching. I watched the very end, and it was a really cool moment. A guy doesn't really have a history in the majors of performing particularly well, and just to have that kind of moment in your career out of nowhere almost was pretty awesome. As a golf fan, I wish there would have been some bigger names involved, I guess, in the contention at the end. But if you were really looking at the event overall, Oakmont won because there was only one man remaining under par, and that was the champion when the trophy was lifted this evening.
John, did you get much of a chance to take a look at it this weekend?
I didn't. I had to work 12-hour days on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so I didn't do much but sell cars. That's the way my life has been lately.
No problem there. So, Mike, I actually threw a couple shekels this morning on Adam Scott, thinking he could maybe get the Fountain of Youth and do something. But that was the only thing that really, if you looked at the leaderboard, if you looked to really try to make some money, unless I would have bet on Spawn or somebody like that, but he wasn't even on my radar to really do something like that.
And John, you had our foursomes, right? The Jimmy and you and I don't think that any of us did particularly well. Nope. I know that at least 2 or 3 of my guys didn't even make the cut this weekend.
So we all had Scotty Scheffler. Then Bryson.
He finished at +4.
Okay, Jimmy had Bryson. You had Rory. I had Rahm. And then we both had the German guy Oberg. We all had him.
He didn't make the cut.
And then Jimmy had Thomas. You had Strahan. I had Spieth.
It's better if you just give me each golfer from one person at a time, and then we can figure it out.
Okay. So Jim had Scotty, Bryson, the German guy, and Thomas.
Now, if you guys saw timeout here on Facebook, I put mine in while you guys were doing the show.
Oh, did you?
Looking at it. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
I was looking for it, but I didn't see it.
I had Rahm, Rory, Scheffler, and Morikawa. And I don't think any of those did well.
So, Mike, you had Scotty, Rory, Oberg, and Strahan.
Oh, nice. He's playing golf now?
Straka.
Not Strahan. Straka.
Well
he missed the cut too.
Straka.
So far of the names you said, Scotty was +4. John Rahm was +4.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Who else did you say?
Oberg.
Morikawa.
Morikawa was +8. McElroy was +7.
Oh my god.
Oberg didn't make the cut.
Oh my god. And I had Spieth.
Who else we got?
Spieth. That's the last one.
Spieth.
Thomas.
Spieth was
Thomas,
+8.
Straka, and Spieth. Yeah.
Spieth was +8, and Straka missed the cut.
So what was it, Mike? We talked about on the other day that it was all about going to be about the roughs and how thick and things they were. What was it? Was that did that come down to that, or what was it?
Well, yeah, a lot of it came down to players not being able to advance the ball out of the rough, but also the weather played a role today because there were some storms rolling in and out, it was mostly just downpours, which made the rough even harder to play out of, and it just the course is just a difficult. The course was meant to be difficult. That was why that course was created. There's one green that is just a gigantic. I think it was the 9th green. I can't remember which one it is. It's just a gigantic rectangle. It's huge. And if you're not putting the ball in the right spots, and if you're anywhere off the fairway, you have a chance to just lose a stroke or two just trying to get it out of the rough.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and I saw Jason when we were talking about it the other day. I'm very ignorant about PGA Tour golf, so you put a hand over your face emoji when I asked about if there was like a limit in the number of strokes. Because if you're playing handicap play, there's a limit of a double bogey.
I can't believe you're bringing this back up again. I just can't believe it. But that's okay.
When he said it, when you guys were doing it, I was like, oh no.
Well, I didn't know.
It's when Jason goes and plays golf. I have a limit for myself, and everyone playing with me has to have the same limit because otherwise we'd take 6 hours to golf. But the pros, no, they don't have the same limit.
Well, I didn't know. I'm not all that familiar with PGA except the players, So
no worries.
Nice.
So I make it feel like we're not all encompassing except for Jason. Jason's the only one who's like all knowing. He's like the god of sports.
Well, we have to. You got to dab a little bit in everything if you want to do this, especially if you want to do it for a living. I mean, this is what I wanted to do since I was like in high school. Once I realized that playing professional sports wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Luckily, it took till high school to figure that out. But
yeah.
But yeah, I know. I mean, Mike,
if you like to dabble in everything, the U.S. men's national team won their first Gold Cup match tonight, 5-0 over Trinidad and Tobago, however you want to say it. You say Tobago, I say Tobago. They are coming off a very, very poor showing in some friendlies here recently, but that's a good start to the Gold Cup, I guess, for the men's national team.
Oh, for sure. And like, Mike, are all the normal guys that are going to play? Are they all playing right now? Or are they all still kind of just filling in little by little?
Yeah, no, not the guys who are going to play in the Olympics, I don't think. So a lot of those guys are kind of hit and miss, and we're taking rests. In the starting lineup tonight, some names you might be familiar with is Ream was in there. Berhalter was in there. Tillman you might be familiar with. De La Torre was in there. But other than that, it's not your normal names. It's not your Weah. It's not your Weston McKinney. It's not your Pulisic. Those guys weren't playing tonight.
Gotcha. And so how does this format, as far as what they're doing right now, how is this is this just kind of why don't you explain how this format works in comparison to one of the regular big tournaments or so?
Yeah, so the Gold Cup is kind of like our region or area qualifying for the World Cup. And usually it makes a big difference. You have to be in the top, I can't remember, top 2 or 3. And there's some experts would know more than me, but you have to qualify to be in the Olympics. But with the way that we're the host country this coming Olympics in 2026, so we have an automatic bid. So it doesn't mean quite as much this year than it would in other years.
So are we talking Olympics or are we talking World Cup?
I'm sorry, World Cup. Did I say Olympics? I meant World Cup. That's my fault.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I was just
okay. I was a little confused. I was like, the Olympics, every team is like automatic. I mean, more or
I
less
must. I might be
automatically.
speaking out of turn, but that's what my understanding is. I'm not 100% certain. I
And
have to look
guys,
that up.
just sorry, just a little tangent. Otani's pitching tomorrow. They just announced
Oh, he's
He'll
starting.
start. He'll start tomorrow. Yes, against the Mets for the Dodgers. That just popped up on my phone a couple minutes ago. Sorry to interrupt that in the soccer talk.
No. We can definitely get back to that because there's definitely some baseball stuff we want to talk about um, when we get to this. But yeah, I mean, I know that Team USA is definitely the talk of a lot of people in this country as far as, I mean, what do you expect this World Cup? Blah blah blah. And I mean, they have a new coach this year. So where they can go, I mean, I'm not personally, I'm not sure. I don't start ramping things up till about this tournament, and then I really start to focus on Team USA going forward. We're going to try to have a guest on everybody sometime this week, see if we can get some more information. But I don't know, Mike. They had a lot of momentum coming from the last World Cup. There's a lot of high expectations, but I mean, what are the expectations for real? Like, are we thinking of quarterfinals, semifinals, I mean, realistically, what should people think?
I mean, realistically, right now they're kind of in shambles with the new coach and the way they've been playing against some of these mediocre national teams. It's kind of been a big old question mark, and they're not all playing either yet, which kind of puts a question mark in how serious some of these guys are taking the World Cup in general. Like Pulisic's kind of on a rest break, and McKinney's not playing. They're playing with their club teams, and that kind of, it's like, I don't know what the program looks like overall with the men's national team, and if it's heading in the direction we want it to be. I feel like, even with some of the other coaching that we had previously, at least we were building in the correct, like it was heading in the right direction. Now I feel like we got to a certain point, and now we're trying to find a new coach, and I'm not sure if the message is being received or the messaging is continuing that growth or not. So I think they're kind of at a turning point, and we're going to see, what direction they go from here moving into next year's World Cup.
So,
Yeah,
Mike, like in your bubble of soccer stuff, like I'm a little knowledgeable, but not like enough to talk huge about this. But like, what does Team USA need to do to like compete? Because like when you had the Tim Howards and the Landon Donovans and things, people kind of knew some of those names and stuff. Like when Tim Howard was there, they changed the Wikipedia page for U.S. Defense Minister to Tim Howard, but like, what do they have to do to compete to get out of their qualifying pool into actually, moving on in the tournament?
I mean, that's a loaded question, but they've been trying obviously to work on their grassroots program, and I've taken some of their grassroots coaching courses, working on tactical decision making and getting kids earlier on into the decision making process, and focusing more on gameplay and learning within gameplay versus focused drills and that kind of stuff, so that they're better when they get to that point where they're starting to do the U12, 14, 16, like that age group. There's a lot better decision making, a lot more gameplay under their belt. I know that's the goal. I think they need to go. They need to advertise. I don't know how you do that to more athletes. We have athletes in this country that are not playing soccer, that they're playing other sports. I would love to see that, and hit some of the areas of the country that aren't playing soccer. I think it would be excellent. And then I think it's just a matter of programming and a unified message. Like, I need the coach from the top down, or the people who run the U.S. national program from the top down, all the coaching, all the way to the little guys need to have that same message, which they've done a better job of getting on the same page. But I really think they need to take a close look at it, make sure that they are teaching the same thing, and that we are finding and identifying these kids and getting them ready for what they need to at the world level. You also got to remember, the way that some kids play pickup basketball in this country, like that's what soccer is across the world. Like that, they are literally out there every single day touching a soccer ball. And we have kids like that in our club level and stuff like that, but we don't have, the same exact that these other countries have.
and a lot of those other countries, like being like some of the most successful countries out there, are very poor countries, and playing soccer is extremely cheap. You need a ball, you need some shoes, And like the shin guard and stuff like that, the protective stuff comes later, right? Like that's just because they need to have them. Don't use it till they get older. But it's so to me, it's like we're so focused on football and all this stuff that costs thousands of dollars worth of equipment that soccer is just kind of thrown to the back end. However, going back to looking at a list of like their coaches a while back, when Jurgen Klinsmann was the coach of the USA World Cup team, he took over all of US soccer from the top to the youngest. And they had everything down like this is how everything is going to be. US soccer had fits with that and they pushed back and said, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. And it just threw a whole ruffle into it. And then they ended up getting rid of Klingsman. Then they went back to like Bruce Arena and all these other guys. And nothing is like where it's supposed to be. Now, the guy that they have now, when Mauricio Pochettino, you said, Mike, that there's all kind, and tell me if I'm wrong. I missed something here, but you had said that like there's ruffled feathers all over the place with him. Is there something that I'm missing? Because I thought when they brought him on, he was going to be. I mean, I was very excited that there was going to be one voice, one person pointing them in the direction, and they were going to do everything that he wanted done.
It's just more so that the guys aren't showing up to play, and that I think from an outsider's perspective, I don't know from an insider's perspective. From an outsider's perspective, they have not performed well on the international stage since he's taken over, and a lot of our better players are choosing or opting to rest or play with their club teams versus playing for the national team. So that has fans kind of wondering, like, hey, who's buying in and who's not? I don't know that that's from an insider's perspective. And just to touch on your thought on football, Jason, like imagine if our twitchiest, fastest football players grew up with a soccer ball in their foot instead of playing football for their entire lives. Imagine what like Justin Jefferson would look like as a soccer player. I just want to throw that in the back of your mind when I talk about, some of the athletes that are playing other sports that we're not reaching in the soccer world.
And is that why our women always seem to be a much better team because they don't have as many options? I mean, that might be a dumb question. I know the answer, but like in my opinion, that's it. Is women have volleyball and they have soccer in the spring, but then soccer some states is a fall sport and a spring sport, and then like in Wisconsin, I think it's a summer sport. So like, is that why the women's team is so much better? Is because they don't have as many options. And when you need 30, 40, 50, 60 boys to play a football team, who's going to go play soccer?
Yeah, that's certainly part of it. I mean, and they're also starting women's flag football as a varsity sport in a lot of states across the country as well. So that could draw away from some of the participation of the women in soccer as well.
I mean, down here we have volleyball, we have beach volleyball, we have field hockey and lacrosse, maybe, and depending on where you are. I mean, there's lots of different options, but if you think at like an Olympic and World Cup level, professional level, I mean, soccer is really your ticket to that, unless you're a volleyball player or something along those lines. But I mean, to me, it could be there. Like the U.S. has obviously we outnumber almost all the countries as far as athletes and people besides China and some of the others. And that's why in Olympics, you always see the medal counts. The medal counts are usually because of the number of athletes, so if you're USA, you bring in more athletes, more than likely you're going to have more medals than all the other countries, right? So, but then you get soccer and we fall to the bottom of the pack. And deep down that it's got to irritate like how cocky we are as Americans. It's got to irritate some of the high people, but yet we still haven't figured out how to get there yet. So it's funny, Mike, you were saying about these teams, these other players playing for club teams. And John, to your question before about until all of the top U.S. players leave this country and play soccer overseas, and a lot of them now are, like, it's never going to change. But now everyone comes to the U.S. with like Messi and the rest of these guys. Once they're can't perform at that kind of high level anymore, then they come to the U.S. and they're still the best on the field, right? So until our top young talent, right, and for money too, Mike, but until our top young talent leaves the country and continues to play on those other clubs, we're never going to be at that level. So I don't know. Like I said,
I can see that too, Jason. That makes it. I mean, when you see, the in here, you see the huge contracts in baseball and basketball and football, but you don't see those in the MLS. Where overseas, you see guys like Cristiano Ronaldo and things, getting those huge contracts, but it doesn't show up on the Instagram of the kid in Dallas or the kid who's doing all these other things. So, until that stuff starts happening in the MLS and gets in, I think you're just going to run into the same problems over and over and over again with soccer. I was never a soccer player. I never played soccer my entire life. So that's
Yeah.
let's go for the
Just
outside.
one last thing, John, before we wrap soccer and
Mhm.
Jason. I just double checked myself. So the U.S. automatically qualifies. So do Canada and Mexico because they're hosting jointly. So the Gold Cup itself is a lot less meaningful this year than it usually is. So that could be some of the reason why you haven't heard as much soccer talk as you usually do going into the Gold Cup.
That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, and a lot of these guys like that are playing overseas. I mean, maybe they need. I'm okay with rest really until it comes down to it. So yeah, I mean, you want to see like your best players play and stuff like that, but and give the best effort. But as long as these guys are playing together long enough to be a consistent unit, really, that's what you want. So, I mean, it's still early. We have a lot of time left before the World Cup. Now, switching over to the other football, the American football, without the kicking of the ball with just the foot. You can use your hands. It's actually you should use your hands. The Baltimore Ravens. You guys talked about this last week, and I wanted to bring it up again because I didn't really have a chance to chime in. You guys were talking about, I know the OTAs last second week, and then also the rumors of Jair Alexander. And I almost wanted to have a special podcast, but I just couldn't find the time to do it to discuss this because for me, it it really got me thinking when I found out that he was going to be a free agent. And Mike, I don't know what your thought. I heard a little bit what you said last week. I mean, definitely he's an improvement. He's not a need. I don't think he's that okay, put you over the edge type guy. Like if you don't get, well, actually, let me rephrase that. If you don't get him, it's still okay. But he might be that put you over the edge type guy, just because he allows you to go from everything one way to kind of spread things out and move guys in different areas. So to me, Mike, I was kind of excited when I saw it. Then I saw the figures of what he's going to be requesting. So I'm not so sure what your thoughts are on it, but I'm not so sure if it's it's going to be a possibility anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure what the price tag was going to be, but John mentioned this earlier. You're looking at like the Philadelphia Eagles being rumored to pay him $16 million on a 1 year deal. If you're going to pay him that much, I don't think the Ravens are in that. They have, like you said, they have an opportunity to use that money on multiple players or to maybe bring in a guy a little bit cheaper, probably in a similar way. There's still a ton of free agents out there that are guys I wouldn't mind kicking the tires on. But to use all that money for one individual player seems not really Raven like to me. They usually pounce on those guys right away when they know they're going to get cut, and they try to be the first person to, and then make that deal. They're not going to get in a bidding war with three other teams for a player right now. I don't think they will. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it doesn't seem like their MO.
Well, John, if you listen to the different pundits out there, everyone obviously has an opinion all the time, but they're saying like if the Ravens are at the point where they need to go for it this year and they need to go ahead and sign him and stop worrying about the future. I mean, the reason the Ravens are where they are year in and year out, yeah, they haven't won a Super. They don't win a Super Bowl every couple years, but the reason why we're not picking at the top of the draft every year is because we're always looking to the future while we're still making moves for the present. So I thought by going after him, he's still relatively young. He's still in his 20s. So by going after him, you're also giving yourself the flexibility of being able to move on from Marlon Humphreys next year. But that's if you're able to sign him for multiple years. And like Mike just said, the Eagles, some other teams are looking for a 1 year deal. I'm thinking multiple years. It was the first thing that came to my mind. I text you guys and said, this is a perfect Marlon Humphreys solution. So, I mean, what do you think, John?
Yeah, I think so, but I seriously think though, if we're looking, and Mike and I mentioned this last time, is if we're looking for this year only, we need a guy who was willing to go back to the safety spot. But if we're going with your idea of, okay, this guy's a Marlon Humphrey replacement, Marlon's, disposable, or Marlon's maybe able to move back to the safety spot or move into the slot corner position or move him around, then this is a perfect fit. He's a very close friend of Lamar. He would, it seems as if he'll fit in, but he's just, my worry with him is the reason that the Packers didn't re-sign him or restructure him or whatever they didn't do is he's hurt all the time. He spent more time on the sidelines than he spent on the field, and I don't think the Ravens have the cap space right now or want to shell that money out for him for 3-4 years when you don't know if he's going to stay healthy or not. I mean, obviously, you're not going to know that with anybody, but somebody like him who's I don't know, Mike. Did you look to see how many games he'd missed?
It was
I
like
didn't look.
half the games over the last 2 years.
It's
Yeah,
like
it was something like
22.
22 games, and I don't know if he had any injuries when he was at Louisville or anything like that, but I just don't think they have the cap space right now to take a risk on a guy like this, especially, you're going to have to sign guys during the season, and then, injuries going to happen, all that kind of good stuff. And Mike, I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Just a couple thoughts. Like, if we're spending, let's say 16 million is the price tag to bring in Jair Alexander. If you look at the free agents remaining on the top 100 list, Asante Samuel Jr. is still there. I know we talked about him this offseason, so that's not one option. You still have Stephon Gilmore available. You still have Russell Douglas available. So there are other corners available still in free agency. So if that's the case, I mean, who's to say you can't find one of those guys on a $5-6 million deal that's a lot more team friendly and have them be that guy who helps solidify the secondary? Jason, that might not answer your question as far as a Marlon Humphrey replacement, but for this season, it could be that added piece needed depth wise to get them through the year. And some of those guys like Asante Samuel is pretty young. He's not an older guy. He could technically be there for a few more years and maybe not the same player, but as Jair Alexander, but could give you a nice piece to work with in the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, my even if the price was, I don't know, a little lower. I mean, first of all, let me say that if they want a player, the Ravens will find the money. It doesn't matter. They've always said that. Dick Cash used to say this all the time. If there's a player we want, we will find the money. We will move things around, and they will. And a lot of teams are that way. But I don't think they're interested. I really don't. And people can bitch and complain all they want about it. But I think they have a different plan. I think by getting a Ruzi and those guys there, they're set at corner. I mean, and if someone gets hurt, yeah, someone gets hurt. It sucks. And then we can worry about who else we're going to bring in. I think they think they're set at that position. Now, the safety position, now that again is still what's in question. And whether they get Ramsey or whether they get somebody else, that seems to me more of what they're looking at. Now, would I love them to bring in Jair Alexander and kick Marlon inside because I think Marlon's a better inside corner at this point in his career than he is outside? Absolutely. But that's just not how they think. So if I'm betting on this, he's not coming here. And I do think that they will address, because I know you asked last week, Mike, what move do you still think they would make? I think they're going to make a safety move. And I think that is the one move that they're still looking at because they love that position. They love to do different things out there. And unless they kick Marlon or somebody else out and bring in a corner, which then you're counting that somebody has to be healthy. I just think they're going to go with a healthy safety. But I don't think it's going to be anybody. I don't think it's going to be Ramsey. I don't think it's going to be Simmons. It might be a depth piece and then let the interior, the guys that are inside your locker room now play there too. At least that's what I think. So,
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a good idea to me, Jay. I can't argue with that. I would say if you listen to any of the press conferences after the OTAs, I think John Harbaugh was on there. Chuck Smith was on there talking about how great Zach Orr was and how he was doing with some of these younger guys. He was singing the praises of a guy like Tavius Robinson, saying that he's played a lot in run situations, but this guy could really be a pass rusher as well. and he has the work ethic that exemplifies the Ravens organization. And I mean, just saying how he's a centerpiece of the defense, talking big about these young guys that are Adisa Isaac. Who's
Mike Green.
the big who's the big guy in the middle who backs up the tackle from UConn, I think, or what was this?
Yeah, the one that was hurt. He got hurt last
Jones?
year. Travis Jones.
Travis Jones. He was talking about Travis Jones. He was talking about all those young guys and how they're developing, and Zio's doing a good job with those guys too. So I was originally thinking maybe they would solidify with another D end or something like that, but he seems super excited about the young guys in the room. So safety Jason might be the play.
Well, that's what Kevin and Quadre Ishmael were talking about on Locked on Ravens the other day, was that Mike Green is going to be, they think they're going to be the breakout player on that defense, which, he's a top 10 pick if he doesn't have those sexual assault allegations against him, so the Ravens may have got, a big steal, they're solidifying their defense, because we know Van Noy's got one more year, maybe two, but I think Van Noy's probably got 1 year, and this is always year to say, I'm an elite pass rusher, I'm not an elite pass rusher. And Green's going to be the next man up there. So I think we'll see what really goes on with him. But I agree, though. I think the safety is going to be the place we're going to find somebody. We're going to maybe just get a plug-and-play piece for the time being. And then if Washington can come back in December, then we'll be set and ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, they don't seem to be in a hurry, guys. I mean, they seem to be biding their time and checking things out. Or, they could fool us one of two ways. I mean, they could just keep everything the way it is. They could bring in the guy we think, or they could make a big splash. I mean, they definitely, by signing Bateman, by moving some money around in different areas, and there's probably going to be another extension at some point once training camp starts, when everyone's there. You can talk to the guys, you can talk to their agents. Usually stuff happens around then. So we'll see. We do have to move on to our next segment. Mike, I know you wanted to talk about some Father's Day memories with our Popses, plural. Popses, plural.
I'm sure that's a word, Popses. Yeah, Popses. So just being Father's Day, I think, we have wonderful fathers. I can speak to each and every one of you guys, but we have two different hats to wear on Father's Day. We're dads and we're also sons still. So just kind of thinking about, not only sports, but just life-wise, some of the memories that you've created with your fathers and your sons and daughters. Just maybe go around and kind of give me a, one of those that just sticks in your mind when you think dad. What kind of is that memory that pops up into your head? So Jason, you got one to start?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's the whole reason why I'm here now, as far as like aligned with sports. You guys make fun of me for my knowledge of sports and whatnot, but like that was like ingrained in me as a child. It's like my dad was in the moving business, and he moved a lot of the professional athletes. Ironically enough, he worked for Mayflower. If you guys remember, Mayflower were the ones that moved the Colts out, right? But Mayflower was like a huge nationwide company, and his was Baltimore storage part. And so unfortunately, Mayflower was a company that took that, and that's how everybody remembers it. But he moved guys like in and out of Baltimore, like Randy Milligan, who else? Buford, guys like that over the years. Oh gosh, I can't remember the other guy, but they were like famous Orioles. And I just remember them signing, like Jim Palmer, like signed this Oriole book. And I just started reading it when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and just started like looking at all the pictures and asking my father and my grandfather, like, who's this guy? Tell me about Brooks Robinson. Tell me about Frank Robinson. And it's just like all like got ingrained. And then obviously I played baseball since I was like 3 and all that stuff. So it's like, oh, okay, well, I want to be like this guy and I want to be like that. And because of that, and those guys ingraining that into me, I mean, it like that's where at least my love for baseball specifically, but then it also bled into football, even though we didn't have a team. Like I learned about the Colts from such a young age, and Johnny Unitas and Raymond Berry and John Mackey and all these guys. Like my dad had 88's his number because of John Mackey, like growing up playing football and all this stuff. So yeah, for me personally, like sports had a huge impact on that. What about you, John?
Yeah, same thing. Like my dad was a big sports fan. He was a Browns fan and a Tigers fan and things. But we had no money growing up, and like the one thing you could always count on though was we'd find a way to go to the Orioles games. We went down to Camden Yards. You know, we didn't live too far, and it was we probably went down to 10, 12 games a year just to go because we it was the poopy year. Well, no, take that back. They were in the playoffs a couple years, but then it was like 98, 99, 2000, and they were bad. But my dad would just take me down to the ball games and go on a fairly regular basis because that was the fun thing for us to go do. And then all the people that my dad was friends with, you guys know all of them. And they were all like dads to me too, on top of my own father, Gary and all those guys. And just the love of baseball and the love of the Orioles comes because, like I said, we were at every game. The first game I ever went to was August 19th, 1993, and it was Jim Abbott versus Arthur Rhodes, and the classes seats. We were under the overhang and we were watching the game. And I remember asking my dad, "Why does that guy only have one arm?"
Oh,
And yeah. I remember this. It was Arthur Rhodes and Jim Abbott, and Jim Abbott was on the Angels, and that was the first game I ever went to. So, Mike, what about you?
Well, I don't think my dad wasn't as big of a sports fanatic as your guys' dads were, um, but that doesn't mean he didn't do something to shape my sports life because my dad was a wrestler in high school actually, and but he wasn't he liked the Orioles but he wasn't a huge fan. But he saw immediately that I had taken a liking to sports as a kid, and he did every possible thing that he could to foster that love I had for the game. Like he was a coach of all my kids' sports teams. He came and supported. He was at every single high school game that I ever played: basketball, baseball, soccer. And then even as we've gotten older, like we found that common ground. He comes and teaches me how to be a good dad because that's what you do. You help foster whatever the love your kid has, and you kind of do that. He taught me how to do that. He's now playing golf with me, and that's the way we hang out and we hang. I love that part of my dad because he kind of met me where I was and decided, you know what, we're gonna make this work, and that's kind of how I think dads should do it. And so my dad's played a huge role in my love of sports.
Well,
And
like,
didn't your dad also, when you were if you guys don't know, Mike coached high school, was that high school baseball coach for years? Wasn't your dad your assistant for one of your first
Yeah,
couple
so
years?
there was a year like the cupboard was bare when it came to finding teachers that were willing to help, and my dad came back and coached with me, and my dad would come and watch the games I coached. Like he still comes to watch games I coach. Like so, I mean that's kind of the impact and kind of person he is, and makes me want to be that kind of person for my son as he gets older, and my daughter as she gets older.
Oh, that's absolutely fabulous. And it's like I mean, I took a lot of that from so my dad never really I know a lot like your dad, Mike, like he never pushed me into something that he knew like I wasn't interested in, or he never pushed too hard for anything where you have all these parents out there that are like, no, you got to play this and work so many hours, or like you got to go outside and practice and do all this. It was just like they adopt what you're interested in and then they help the best they can with that. And it's like with my kids now, that was very easy for me. It's like I wanted my daughter to try everything and then make her decision on what she wanted to do. And we did the softball thing. She was actually pretty good at it. I was not a very good coach at it because as like a kid, like coaching t-ball, I'm like, what do kids want to do? They want to swing and hit the ball and they want to run around the bases. So that's what we did. We hit the ball and then we ran around the bases. We couldn't field a ball to save our lives. We actually ran the other direction. Okay. So not very good at coaching it, but they had a blast, which at 3 and 4 years old, the most important thing you could possibly do. So then she grew into like soccer and lacrosse and became very good at it for her age and stuff like that. And then we're just there to kind of like point them in the right directions. Like for me, I coach her to a certain point, and then I backed off and let everybody else do it because I could see that like if I did this too long, I don't want to create that situation where she's always worried about what I have to say. And even after games now, I just like my dad was, it's like I never really said much until we got home and like later. Never say anything right after the game, never say anything on the car ride except, do you want ice cream? Where do you want to go to eat? And then when you get home, okay, hey, like, why'd you do this? Or hey, why don't you try this? Or something like that. And then she kind of finds her own way. So, John, I don't know how it is now for you being a dad and coaching, but it is like a one of those things where it's like
It's
you don't want to do too much, but you don't want to not do enough.
Well, it's hard because baseball came so easily to me. I was always, up until my car accident, I was always one of, if not the best player on the field at all times. I was always, okay, we need this position. John, you're going there. John, we need you to go here. We need you to go there. Because I was always one of not the best player on the field. Where my son is not like that. He has to really work hard at baseball. He trying to teach him how to catch. He's 8. He'll be 8 in a couple of weeks. But just trying to teach him to do the simple things is like the windshield wiper when he's catching, and trying to teach. It's very difficult, you know. And but no, like, but he instills my love of the Orioles. His name's Camden. His initials are Cal. So he brings on that love of the Orioles, through all that kind of stuff. But no, I think coaching your kids is very, very difficult, especially when they're not like as gifted as you were at that. Where you're like, but that was so easy for me. How can I help you be understanding how to do this when for me it was second nature, you know? And they do it differently now because like when I was growing up, we had kid pitch when we were 6 years old. Now they still are on T-ball at 6 years old. Then they have that arm machine pitch thing, and then all these other things that's changed, the way that they do baseball.
Yeah, and Mike, you've kind of taken the opposite approach to John and I. You've continually coaching your kids, and I know your oldest is 12 now, and you're still coaching. Where we kind of took a back seat to not, for at least me personally, to screw them up.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I wasn't. Honestly, I'm at the point where it's like the other kids have like I think they've enjoyed having me as a coach, and every year they're like, Coach Mike, you got to come back, kind of thing. And I have gotten better at coaching my kids. Like I definitely there was some conflict, with we're both stubborn. My daughter and I, we're from this, she's like me. When you're like your kids, man, it's so easy to see it. And once I step back and I'm not in the moment, I can easily see it. So the key, Jason, gave some really good advice, is just to kind of say great game and just kind of shake it off and then move. And every time I've done that, it's been a much better conversation than trying to have a conversation with your kid. Unfortunately, at the field on the sideline, you have to have a little bit of those conversations sometimes. So just to think about having an assistant coach who might coach your kid, I think that's one thing that I've put into place an awful lot, is to have a assistant who I know, who knows what they're talking about, who can go ahead and have those conversations, and then I'll coach their kid and they can coach my kid. That way we can kind of get through it that way. But it is difficult to coach your own kids because, again, you want them to see you as dad, always there, always supportive. That's who you should be. And then when you're coach, you also have to use criticism, whether it's constructive or not. You're still going to have to explain what they're doing wrong at some point. And some kids just will take that the wrong way, and so it's a really fine line how you navigate that. So if you can step away, I feel like it's best. But if you can't, you have to be super careful about it.
Well, it's
Yeah, and
difficult. Both of my kids are left-handed, so trying to teach them to hit and to do things left-handed is completely different than me growing up catching and doing all those sorts of things.
yeah, and one of the things that I've learned, it took me a while, but it's the number one thing that I ask as soon as they walk off the field. Actually, the only thing I ask is, "Did you have fun?" And it's always a yes. Okay, and then the rest we talk about later. But again, it is a fine line, and you just have to do your best because we want them to continue to play because clearly they're having fun. That's why they do it. They're not. I told you guys this weeks ago when I did this experiment slash class project in college where I had to ask the kids and the parents what they wanted most out of playing youth sports, and every single kid to a T said their top two were, I want to have fun. I want to play with my friends. And those were the top two. And that's really what it's about. And then once they start getting older, they start taking it to a different level. And we either have to step back or, like Mike, is going to end up coaching a daughter playing high school soccer, probably. So, no.
I don't know. She's not districted for my school. She can go get somebody else.
That's funny. Well, let me ask you guys. So, as this falls on this, do you guys have a favorite moment of a sporting event that happened to fall on Father's Day? An Oriole moment, anything else professional? John, did you have anything you could think of?
I nothing off the top of my head. I was trying to go through and think of what happens in June, and it's just baseball or it's NBA Finals or NHL Stanley Cup. But I couldn't think of anything like specific. Mike, what about you? Anything specific on Father's Day?
Yeah, I can't think of something that like sparks my mind because it was on Father's Day particularly. Um, so and it's also my wife's birthday is June 17th, so it's like it's always right in that area too. I'm a little distracted, so I can't remember particularly. But Jason, it sounds like you might have something teed up.
1995 U.S. Open. I remember it. I was at when growing up, every holiday, like my family would get together, whether it was like Flag Day, Father's Day, it didn't matter. Any chance to have a party, we would get together. And we were at my grandparents' house. And if you remember, my grandparents' house was right behind, they lived right on a golf course. So we'd always sneak over to the golf course, hit golf balls, get chased off, all that stuff. Ironically enough, Father's Day every year is when the U.S. Open is. In 1995 U.S. Open, from the middle of the fairway, Corey Pavin uses a 4-wood and hits it right on the green and ends up beating Greg Norman to win the U.S. Open. And for some reason, I don't think the man ever won a major tournament after that. But that moment is ingrained in my mind forever of like that happened to be on a Father's Day. So the other thing I had on here, and do you guys have a father-son, like a favorite father-son duo of all time in sports? What about you, John? Like, I know you like NASCAR. Isn't there like a whole like
NASCAR,
crazy ass NASCAR?
The Earnharts, right?
the Earnharts,
The Earnhardt,
sure.
and there's the other ones
Sure.
too. The Andretti, not
The
is it
Bushes.
Andretti?
No, the Andrettis were open car, Indy car. Like
See,
you got
you
the
know
Bushes.
all about this crap.
I don't know anything about Jason. We're all from the same place. They don't talk about NASCAR up in. Well, I guess Central Indiana they did when we lived there because Indy 500 was like the only thing to do the entire year. But I like the Griffies and the thing guys like the guys like that. Seeing the different kind of generations of baseball, and now you see Jackson and Matt. I saw a good interview. I don't know if you guys saw the interview today before the game with Jackson and Matt Holiday. It was very, very good, and seeing guys like that, it's very, very. I don't know if heartwarming is the right phrase, but it's very nice to see like more guys that we saw play growing up and then through, and now their kids are up here.
Yeah, for me it was the Ripkins
Yeah.
and the Griffies. The Griffies were it didn't quite last as long because the Ripkins like they either played together or like their father was coaching for a while. Part of that Oriole way thing, coaching the minors and whatnot. But those are my two, Mike. I don't know if you have any.
No, the Ripkins were the ones that came to mind for me. Cal Senior, with his stint as manager, and then Billy and Cal on the same. I had the baseball card with Cal, Billy, and him on it, where they're all kind of together. It's a really cool moment, especially having them come from Aberdeen, which is right up the road, and that's the one that first comes to mind. Honorable mention. I was thinking about our softball career. Remember Ronnie Seymour, and then his son Billy. You coached when you guys won the championship at Lutheran that one year, and I got to go watch you guys play. And so there's an honorable mention for the Seymour boys out there.
Oh,
his daughter Allie was in my class, I think in 4th and 5th grade at St. Paul's.
that's another good athlete. Like if she wouldn't have, she tore her ACL like when she was in, I want to say like ninth grade or something. If she wouldn't have done that, she might have been the best athlete out of all of them. Like, she was pretty good basketball player and whatnot. All right. Well, really cool memories, really good stories. That brings us to our last segment, which is Blast from the Past. And for this one, we are going to switch back to Ravens edition. Are you guys prepared for this?
Absolutely.
Okay,
We're back in black and purple.
black and purple, black and black. Well
That's
done,
for you,
Mike.
John. ACDC style.
Yes.
Oh,
That was on
gosh.
my tongue, and you stole it.
Did you complete your task, John? Did you?
Oh, I
complete
did.
everything?
I did complete my
As did
task.
I did 4
We-
out of my 3 required.
Yes.
Well done, Mike. Appreciate that.
Well, we're all on the highway to hell, so
Oh
it's
my
all
God.
good.
You already said that one though.
Okay, well, no, I didn't. I
You
said
started saying it.
I don't know. I don't remember. I took my ACDC list off.
All right. Well, Blast from the Past is when we come up with normally Orioles related or Ravens related. We come up with a player that used to play for the team that we may or may not have remembered, that may have had a big or small impact on the team. So we are going to kick that off right now. Which one of you guys want to go? John, Mike, who wants to go first?
I can go first.
All right.
So this individual played at, I believe it's called Cerritos in college. Cerritos, and then played for a year in Oregon State. He was drafted 204th overall in the 2001 draft by the Cincinnati Bengals. Played for the Bengals, Sea Chickens, Ravens, and Raiders. Best known for playing on the Cincinnati Bengals. He was signed for the veteran minimum by the Ravens on September 6th, 2010.
TJ Hushmanzada.
Yes.
You say Sea Chickens.
Yes.
Yeah, that threw me off. I was like, is there a minor league team I don't know about?
I've always known them as the Sea Chickens. They had a friend who was a Seahawks fan, and ever since then, I've always called them the Sea Chickens.
Oh, that's funny. Mike, did you want to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah. Way to wade through that, Jason, to figure out what he was talking about. It was well done.
Well, the interesting thing about Hushmanzada is he played 1 year of college football and then was drafted 204th overall. So
all right, so mine, gentlemen.
Devin Hester. No, I'm just kidding.
Nope.
No.
So close. Born October 14th, 1985. Played his college ball at the University of Cal. Got it?
It's California
All right.
University.
Yes,
Berkeley.
John, that is correct.
University.
That's
not a
named All Pac-10 and Offensive MVP at Cal. Let's see. Where do I want to go with this next? I don't want to give you teams. I don't want to give you too much detail.
So far we got born in 1985 and he went to Cal for college. Great.
He was a golden bear. He was
Cal Berkeley, if you will.
Yeah.
He had a Pro Bowl season with the Ravens in 2014. And when he had a career high in rushing yards with 1,266 and 8 touchdowns.
Oh, crap. Oh, what's this guy's name?
I know.
I remember this guy. And then he signed like a big contract with him. It was
he started with the Sea Chickens.
Oh, he did.
And then went to the Colts, Texans, Jags, Ravens, Lions, and ended his career with the Broncos.
His last name starts with an F. It's I think, right, Mike? It starts with an F. It does.
Is it no.
He now does motivational speaking because he came from a tough upbringing. He has transitioned to being a successful businessman and a co-founding a multi-million-dollar wellness
Justin
brand.
Forsett.
Yes.
Justin Forsett.
Yes.
He doesn't make the rules; he just enforce it.
Oh my gosh! I told you.
Oh my Lord! Yes.
It was great, and then signed him to a decent contract, and he poo-pooed after that.
Ravens running backs seem to do that.
All right. So my feller was drafted in the 1994 NFL draft in the 3rd round by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a running back. He played for the Steelers, the Ravens, the Bears, and the Chiefs. The 2 years he was with the Ravens, he had 730 rushing yards, 737 rushing yards, and 774 rushing yards, with 4 touchdowns for in both years. You guys got it?
What were the other teams besides the Steelers and Ravens?
He played for 6 years. He also played for the Bears and the Chiefs, finishing his career with the Chiefs.
Was it Bam Morris?
Twas Bam Morris, Michael. Well done. I didn't even have to give out the years he played for the Ravens.
No.
Yeah, well done, Mike.
I remember that fella.
Bam. Oh, my goodness.
Bam.
Oh my goodness, it's past my bedtime.
What a great way to end the episode with a bam, Jason.
Yay. Oh, man, but this is our longest episode yet. Well done, fellas. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there.
Absolutely. Well,
right,
Mike, why don't you wrap us up here, Mike?
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this evening's episode of Dad Bods, Crab Cakes, and Sports. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Red Circle, wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. It really helps us out. We're trying to spread that good word about Baltimore sports far and wide. Be sure to follow us on social media for more behind-the-scenes actions, bad sports takes, etc. You can find us at dadbods_crabcakes_sports on our Instagram and dadbods crab cakes and sports on our Facebook page. Do you have a question or a topic you'd like us to cover? Please hit us up at dadbodscrabcakesandsports@gmail.com, and you never know, we might just shout you out in our next episode. But until next time, keep rocking those dad bods, eating those crab cakes, and never miss the game, hun.
Adios.
Hasta la vista.